Have you heard of the book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, a leadership fable by Patrick Lencioni? This is a book that was recommended to me multiple times, actually, because of learning lessons in leadership. And originally, when it was presented to me years ago, I didn't understand that I was in a position of leadership as a teacher and a coach. And I couldn't wrap my head around why this book would be so important for me to read, because so often, I don't know if you're anything like me, but so often I related like leaders and leadership to very corporate world, to the business world only. And I didn't realize that there's so many more like leaders and leadership roles in our world that extend beyond the business walls. So first and foremost, I just want to like open our minds to that, right? Like in addition to business and company leaders, think about our teachers, coaches of sports teams, people that decide that they're going to start a networking group or a book club and they become the leader of that group, bringing everyone together. Leader of a Bible study, leaders in churches, some of the most important leaders of all, you parents out there, moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. In your family role, you're a leader. And this book, I love how it's written in fable form with then some very step-by-step directions at the end. And while the book is told in a corporate world, the applications and the principles still apply to all leadership roles in our lives. So I wanted to share with you the pyramid that Patrick uses in this book to explain what the five dysfunctions of a team are. And I'm going to share that with you right here. So he shares in his book that these are the five dysfunctions of a team. And like my hope is that when we're reading this, you're not like, yep, I got that one, I got that one, I got that one. Because we're working on building the opposite. So the dysfunctions you'll see here at the bottom is the absence of trust. And if there's an absence of trust, that can create a fear of conflict, avoiding conflict, or just a fear of being honest when a conflict comes up, which can then create lack of commitment towards a goal or a project, which then could create the avoidance of accountability, which ultimately leads to the inattention to results. So business-wise, we can probably all read this and think and kind of make sense of this, right? And what I want to do today is bring it to some real life examples that we might not have even thought about. And honestly, I didn't even think about when I first read this, right? The foundation here is trust. Do you have trust in the areas of life that you're leading? Does your family trust one another? Do the athletes on your sports team trust one another? Do your students trust one another? Do the members of your group that you're leading trust one another? We need the foundation of trust, because when we have trust, when conflict comes up, because it will, we will then be able to engage in the conflict in a healthy, respectful way. Meaning, nobody's afraid to share their opinions. Everyone can share and feel like they've been heard. There's even a format and a way to share and communicate with everyone respectfully, so that after the conversation is had, everyone can walk away from that conversation committing to the decision. Whether it was their choice or not, their idea or not, because of the trust and the way that the conflict was handled respectfully, people can commit to the next steps or the actions based on the conversation. With that, then there becomes accountability, right? Holding each other accountable. When you have trust and you have commitment, and lack of fear, when you're not fearing conflict, you're able to hold each other accountable. And if somebody's not holding up their end of the bargain, because you have these things, you're able to respectfully call them out on it. And when all of that's in line, you're going to see results. whether they be business oriented, or maybe it is a family oriented feeling of love, or winning the game, or everybody in the class doing well on the activity or working together. So often I used to get stuck up here and think results had to be numbers. And in the scenarios that we're talking about, they don't always have to be numbers. Maybe it is a fulfilling family feeling of love, right? So if we walk this through a family example, okay, let's say that you're talking about chores and you want your kids to get together and like you want to have chores for everybody in the house has their list of chores. And before that, right, we have to establish trust. We need the trust of everyone so that we can go into this conversation as a team, be willing to speak honestly, showing love for one another. Because when a conflict comes up, well, Mom, I don't want to be the one to take out the garbage. So-and-so should take out the garbage. Then there's going to be a way to have this conversation. Okay, thank you for sharing your feelings. And then having this conversation of, okay, is this something that we can switch? Coming to an agreement and then committing. Okay, this is what we decided as a family. And now we're going to hold each other accountable to our chore charts, because when everyone does what they're committed to doing on the chore chart, then we get to go out for ice cream this weekend as a family. So see how that result doesn't have to be numbers based. And it's cool. I was even thinking about this as I was praying this morning, like spiritually, my fellow believers, like we have to have trust in God, because without trust, everything else falls off. When I have trust in God, I know any obstacle that comes my way is for a reason and I'm to learn from it. And when I understand that, then I commit myself to God's ways and handling it in a way that matches His word. And I know and trust that He'll hold me accountable. And I can also be held accountable by fellow believers who pull me back in to the word. And then I have the result of the life that God wants me to live. So I share this with you because I want you to take it and apply it to all areas of your life. Take it outside of business. If you haven't read this book, read it. You're a leader. We're all leaders. Apply what you're learning here and start with the foundation of trust. Because without trust, these things don't happen. And if you're wondering, do I have trust? Is trust present in all of the teams that I'm a part of or all the groups that I lead? Just stay tuned, because next time I'm going to share an activity with you, a trust building activity with you that you can even take to the dinner table with your kids. So stay tuned for that and just start becoming aware. Do I feel like the people that I lead and the groups that I'm a part of, do I feel that we have trust?